Thank you very much for the introduction. My first comment is always to apologise to an audience that has to listen to a translation because of my inability to speak a language. This is typical of English-speaking people, and it's all the Americans' fault. It's the Americans that made English the international language of business, and it's not the fault of a small island in the north of Europe. So please forgive me. It's just made us a lazy nation. So can I wish you a good afternoon? I am very grateful to you for giving me this opportunity to talk about the journey that we have taken since 2002. I think it's important that this journey is seen in the context of a continuous development which started out with us considering and adopting an established model for excellence, the EFQM excellence model. But let me assure you that this was just a part of that journey, which seemed to be right at the time. We continue to move on and develop. I know only too well that models that have their roots in the worlds of industry, of business, and commerce don't always sit comfortably with the world of higher education. There are very good reasons for this, and I'm always the first to defend the unique nature of universities as seats of learning and research, and as places where thought and knowledge are valued much more highly than profit and growth. That said, there is an inescapable reality that all universities at some time have to face. And it's simply this: the complexity of what we do and what we have to deliver is immense. And we cannot deliver a high-quality educational experience to our students, high-quality research which furthers human knowledge and endeavour, or the sheer value that we add socially and economically to our communities, without having to deal with the terrible challenge of management. Yes, I've said it, management. The evil which we must all engage if our universities are to survive in this modern age. So if we have to wrestle with this monster, why not give ourselves a chance of winning, or at least making the fight a little less painful? So my talk today will be in a number of sections. Firstly, I will give you an overview of the history and background to my university, Liverpool Jonh University, and how it was that we took the decision to investigate and pursue a particular management model based on the discovery that, far from being a management model, it was a very useful framework to help bring order from the chaos of university complexity. I will also give you a brief overview of my own background in relation to the EFQM excellence model, and I'll spend some time on our early progress, our big mistake, and I'll warn you of the dangers of creating the wrong focus. And lastly, I will share with you how we've moved on under new leadership in a way consistent with the principles of excellence, but without the overt reference and use of the EFQM excellence model. I don't want to talk for the whole time allocated to this session. I intend only to give a background and hopefully get questions that I very much hope I can have time to answer. So let's move on. Liverpool Jonh University is about the 10th largest university in England. We have around 25,000 students and 2,500 staff, of which close to 1,000 are academic staff. We became a university as recently as 1992, but our origins date back to 1825, when the Liverpool Mechanics Institute was created. Over many years, the institute grew as other colleges merged with it, and in 1970, the successor college merged with several more higher education institutes to form the Liverpool Polytechnic, under the control of the Liverpool municipality. In 1988, the UK government removed the polytechnics from local authority control and soon afterwards granted degree awarding powers and university status. As such, Liverpool Jonh University, as an independent provider of higher education, was born. Throughout the late 1980s and the early 1990s, the university had rapid growth, rising from around 8,000 students in the 80s to the levels we have today. This growth was supported by generous government investment, but by the late 1990s, that money had run out. The culture of the university had remained largely that of the Polytechnic, typically a department of a municipality rather than a confident and ambitious university. Similarly, management of the institution was chaotic, with departments having almost total control over their staffing and budgets, but failing to bring in the levels of income needed to support their operations. By the end of the 1990s, the university was on the financial at-risk list of the Higher Education Funding Council for England. Something had to change, and something did. In 2000, the university appointed a new vice-chancellor, or as you know in Spain, a rector, to replace the founding vice-chancellor who had retired. The first priority was to tackle the finances, and this was done in the first 2 years. In 2002, we had a steady financial platform on which to build. Structures and responsibilities were changed, but there remained a weak system of management. The new Vice-Chancellor, Professor Michael Brown, had been made aware of the EFQM excellence model at his previous university. He was interested in seeing if this model could work in higher education. So too were the Higher Education Funding Council for England. As a result, the Funding Council agreed to provide money for him to run a series of trials involving several universities, including 2 engineering departments, 1 humanities department, and the whole of a small arts college. At that time, I was working as the Director of Governance at the university, but I had been involved with the EFQM excellence model since 1992 when I worked in industry for BT. The trial was successful, and it convinced Michael that we should attempt to use this as a framework for our new management system. As his resident expert, I was asked to lead on this project, and I became more associated with the EFQM as an organisation. I became an award assessor in 2001, and since 2002, until last year when I retired, I was an assessor team leader for the EFQM, assessing many successful finalists, prize and award winners. I've also been part of the team that reviewed the EFQM excellence model in 2013. As such, I have some good knowledge and experience of both what is good and what is bad about the EFQM excellence model. So I'm not here today to try and sell the EFQM excellence model to you, but I am passionate about the idea that universities do have something to learn from management models like this. My first task was to gain the commitment of my senior colleagues, many from academic backgrounds. My approach from the beginning was to leave the technical aspects of the EFQM model in the background. My immediate concern was to ensure that colleagues were convinced of the need for change and where that change needed to be focused. Through a series of workshops, I asked colleagues to identify and agree the big issues facing the university. It was a very useful exercise because what it proved was that our issues were exactly the kind of issues that the excellence model and its related concepts attempted to address. By introducing these to colleagues after the analysis, colleagues were convinced that the EFQM model was the right framework to drive us forward. And this we did for several years. We undertook an initial self-assessment to identify in detail those areas that needed most attention. These included creating a clear vision and strategy with targets for the future, aligning our leaders, our people, our resources, and our processes to that strategy, and gradually improving our results. The key to making it work in our university was simple: use the model carefully and quietly. You do not need to scare all the staff with the new management initiative. You simply need to learn and use its principles in the day-to-day development of the university. If you do this, improvement will be the result, and that improvement becomes self-sustaining. As an assessor, I'm always deeply suspicious of organisations who proudly display the excellence model on staff notice boards. That's not the way to lead improvement. Anyway, after 2 more self-assessment exercises that suggested we were making progress, we agreed to test ourselves against the best. We applied for the UK Excellence Award in 2008. This involved the creation of a 75-page application booklet that showed how we'd address the assessment criteria of the excellence model, and it involved a team of 6 independent assessors coming into the university and looking for evidence to support our application. They interviewed more than 200 people, in either individually or in groups. It was very demanding and very thorough. As the project director, my objective was simple. The process output was to be a detailed feedback report that I could use to drive further improvement. Winning the award at the first attempt was not part of the agenda. Getting invaluable feedback and encouragement that we were on the right track was what we wanted and what we needed. But disaster struck. We won. Yes, we won. What a fantastic night of celebration. Receiving our award here from the Princess Royal in London. It couldn't get any better than this, could it? The one person who was less than happy was me. With the celebrations over and in the cold light of day, I couldn't help think of all the things that I knew the assessors had missed. All the opportunities for me to say to my colleagues, look how much these guys think we need to improve, had all gone. I found myself holding a coveted trophy, but feeling very depressed. My fears very soon realised. With all the work I knew we had to do, my first task on getting back to the university was not to bother with all of that. No, we had a European award to enter. And then began the worst period in my career. Having taken us so far over the last 6 years, our friendly and helpful guide, the excellence model, became a means for glory. The improvement that came with it, with its use, slowed, as the external awards that came with its misuse became the sole target. This was our biggest mistake. In 2009, we were successful as finalists in the EFQM Awards, and we repeated the feat in 2010. And finally, in 2011, we succeeded in being awarded the EFQM Prize for building partnerships. I was not unhappy with that prize. It did give recognition to a key part of our strategy that was formulated 2 years before the UK award. It did reward success. But the effort in pursuing awards did distract the leadership of the university, and we paid a high price. So what have we been doing since 2011? Well, the first thing was that our Vice-Chancellor retired that summer. Our new Vice-Chancellor, Professor Nigel Wetherill, took up post. Secondly, as all new Vice-Chancellors do, He set about a comprehensive review of our strengths and weaknesses. Yes, much of what we had done prior to 2008 was still in place, but there remained much to be done. It was timely for us as our previous strategic plan was coming to an end and we needed new focus. We, of course, discussed the excellence model and all that it had done for us. We also discussed the focus on the awards that had so slowed down our progress. We've moved forward in a different way. We have a new strategy, which has been applauded by many as being best practice. Indeed, several companies who work with us have adopted the format and methodology for themselves. We have removed all the barriers to our progress that we failed to address after becoming award-obsessed. We are improving with our main business results and in the UK University League tables, and we remain a top 400 university in the world, and we continue to improve. You won't see much evidence of the excellence model in our university today, but if you do know the model and its concepts well, and you read our strategy very carefully, you will see that our old friend still guides us, but just not pursuing awards. I strongly believe that the excellence model has helped our university, especially in getting us started on a journey to improvement. We've moved on, having established the concepts deeply in our culture, and with new leadership, without excessive focus on the model, has helped with that process. I truly believe that if we were to enter an award next year, we could probably win it. But so what? I'd be happier if the real winners of our continuing focus on excellence are our students. So what have I learned that I can share with you now? The EFQM created the excellence model in the early 1990s. It is a model that was designed to support and promote an award scheme. It is a framework for assessment, not a management system in its own right. In retrospect, the EFQM made a mistake in calling it the excellence model. For me, it's a framework for excellence, and it's much more meaningful and acceptable to a university if you consider it that way. The concepts that underpin the model are important. Organizations that are generally regarded as successful embrace those concepts, whether or not they use the model itself. If you do embrace those concepts, the excellence model is very helpful in guiding you quietly as you make progress in making those concepts central to your system of management, especially at the beginning. If you choose to use the awards as part of your journey, do so as part of your improvement process, not instead of it. Once you've established the concepts of excellence in your culture, don't be afraid to move on, with or without using the model. That's our journey. So thank you for the attention you've given to this case study. I hope you found it useful. I'm happy to take questions. Over to you. Thank you very much.